Hi, this is Shantae, and you're watching Manch on Fire. Today we're here with Drifting Sun, Leddie, Ted, and Carlo.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Nice to be here.
How did the name Drifting Sun come about?
I was the one that hatched that. As a youngster, I was very enamored of a guitar player named Uli Roth, who wrote a song that still to this day is one of my favorites. It's actually called Drifting Sun, with the alternate spelling of S-U-N. And I had always sort of just thought that would make a really interesting band name. The visual imagery, was appealing, and of course I loved the song as well. He's an amazing guitar player. And I didn't really find myself in a situation that I thought completely represented, what I was feeling inside musically. So I hate to say I saved it, but I just never really bothered to push forward in any prior musical situation that I was in. And after returning to music from some time away due to health issues, I really felt like I wanted to really give it 110%, the best that I could. And unfortunately, by this time, there had already been another band that had already broken using the band name Drifting Sun. So I pouted for about 5 minutes and then suddenly thought to myself, well, the hell with it. We'll just be Drifting Sun, S-O-N. And I wish I had a lot more of a deep philosophical explanation for the band name, but yeah, I just swapped vowels. I vetted that name, verified that it wasn't available, which really surprised me because I would have thought that would have gone before the other one, but that was it. So you're all on notice. We got it first.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. You talked a little bit about your being away from music for a little while.
That's right.
Is that something you'd like to elaborate on today?
Yeah, there's a lot to tell, and I'll try and be succinct, but about 6 or 7 years ago, I began having pains in my upper spine and neck, and then not always coincidental with that pain, I had problems in my arms, tingling or pain and cramping kind of problems. I shrugged it off the best I could due to overindulging in exercise and things like that. And it did steadily worsen, but I didn't think anything serious was wrong. And then I had some gastrointestinal bleeding, and I sought help for that. And that was coincidental with the flare-up of the back and arm pain. Both of these things spiraled out of control. The pain in my spine and my neck was due to having bone growth that was growing into the spinal cord. And it got bad enough that I was definitely completely unable to play the guitar. It was a struggle to do more even basic things like writing and anything that required having my arms out in front of me using a typewriting, a keyboard, things like that. And when it was finally diagnosed, this took a long time. This was years of time that elapsed to get there. It had gotten so bad that I had to have surgery almost immediately. After the surgery, I was expecting that I would quickly bounce back and just return to the life I had prior to these problems, and unfortunately that was not the case. I had some other issues with my gastrointestinal tract that were made much worse by the trauma of surgery and all that went with that. So unfortunately it dragged on, and after the surgery, I went through about a year of trying to recover the best I could, and then finally started playing again. I know I'm going on and on here, but this is the accurate as I can make it and keep it brief. I didn't expect to be able to play well. I was willing at that point to do anything, keyboards, just strumming and singing, and I just kept at it. I had a lot of encouragement from my girlfriend Christine, who was very supportive in this time period, and I finally began to think, hey, I think I can do this. So the first thing I wanted to do was make a recording. I figured if now, getting a second chance, I want to document, or somehow capture what I'm doing, because I had realized I had potentially missed out on a chance to do that. I couldn't find people in New Hampshire that were available to do what I wanted to do, and I went back to Massachusetts, kept looking in New Hampshire for people that I could do shows with, and finished these recordings that I did back then, initial recordings, and then started working with these guys about a year ago. So there's a quick, I hope.
The journey.
It was great.
Quick journey, yeah. Very ill, very healthy, not contagious.
Oh, thank goodness.
Still not 100%. I still have a lot of problems with my arm. It'll never be the same. I'm completely dependent on the tremolo bar of a Stratocaster in order to pick properly, because I can't feel the pick stroke. So I suffer a lot. I can't play, like the acoustic would be a real problem. But I'm very grateful, though, to be back and doing anything, actually.
That is great. That is a success story, definitely.
Yep. That's right.
Carlo, tell us some of your background in music and groups that you may have been with prior to Drifting Sun.
I started playing many years ago, I guess, but mostly in cover bands, really, not a lot of original work. Did some studio stuff. Actually, in Manchester, I played with a couple bands. Viento was one of them, T-Blue was another, local show bands. And, played the local places around here. Then got away from it for a little while, for different reasons, not the same as Rob's, but then came back and started playing with some cover bands, and then found these guys.
That's good. That's really good. So you've been playing the drums since you were about 10?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what my parents tell me, at least. I don't know if I was playing the drums or playing pots and pans or what I was doing, but, starting off early on and just, really always loving drums and a little bit of piano, too, because, I don't know, it seemed like that's where had to learn classical piano. I had two brothers. One's actually a very good pianist.
He's holding out on us.
And, no, I'm not very good at it at
Hey,
all.
we just added a keyboard player.
We just added a keyboard. But, musical family, so there's always been music around, and I introduced some different music for my family to listen to, which I thought was great. Kiss is what I grew up on. That was the first record I think I had, was Kiss Alive, which was a great album, I thought, way back then, and I still think so today. There's a lot of energy in that music, so yeah, I've been playing for a long time, enjoying it too.
Good. Would you say that's the group that inspired you to pick up?
Unbelievably, yeah.
drums?
Peter Criss was the first drummer that I really ever listened to, and the second one was Nigel Olsson from Elton John's band. That was the second album that I bought. I remember his Greatest Hits album, which I just thought was the coolest thing going. Crocodile Rock was like, wow, what a song that was. I felt like such a rebel, listening to it back then. But, I'm talking about the days where I had a record player set up next to my drum kit and just turning up as loud as possible with these records playing and just bashing the heck out of my drums, and I'm sure my parents went berserk upstairs. But I was probably 10, I guess. But I was playing out professionally when I was 13, so it went pretty quick.
That's pretty cool. I have a 5-year-old that wants a set of drums.
Oh,
so.
God help you. It's great. It's
He does
good
the
fun.
pot and pan thing right now.
Yeah. So now you know what you're in for then.
Oh yeah. Lots of noise.
Oh,
When
yeah.
he outgrows that, he can graduate to drywall buckets.
They have a lot of echo in them.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
nice. So Ted, tell us about
Yes.
your musical background.
Well, it all started a long time ago.
The galaxy far away.
I guess my first musical experience was living in a house full of musicians. Two of my brothers were avid musicians, and just being around them and in the environment just basically got me inspired to play. And I met a friend in high school who was the hot shot guitar player in school. I thought he was amazing. And he made me an offer to be in his band, and I said, well, all right, but I don't know what I'm going to do. And he's like, well, you'll play the bass. And I was like, well, what's a bass? Didn't even know what it was. They brought me up to a local music store, and he pointed at one. He's like, that's it. I'm like, all right, well, it's only got 4 strings. How hard can it be, you know? So he coached me along, and he turned me to some really good music at a young age. We played a lot of Jimi Hendrix and
Nice.
Velvet Underground, David Bowie,
Nice.
that type of stuff, which was great. And that was how I got started in my high school band. And in fact, to this day, I still keep in touch with my bandmate from that time. And he's doing well in Boston. And yeah, I guess the other big influence has to be my brother Dan. I was in a duo in many bands with him over the years. We were together for about 20 years. And he went off and I was doing sort of a folky thing, which he's really good at. And I was kind of going more for a rock sound, and when I heard Rob's tunes, it got me all fired up again to play, so I threatened him and he gave in.
He let you join? That's funny. You have a lot of great musical influences as well. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Really fortunate in that way, with, especially my brothers, because just being around them all the time, that was huge.
He has like 100 musical
Yeah.
brothers.
Yeah. Well, I've got 7 brothers,
Wow.
and 4 of them are musically inclined one way or another. So we're like the Osmonds, I guess.
I hate to say it.
Can you
I was
dance
thinking,
too?
All right,
I was
wait,
thinking
maybe
Partridge
the Bee Gees.
Family, but Osmonds is good too.
Maybe the Osbournes.
That's funny.
Yep.
So you guys seem to have a great chemistry. How long do you practice, and when do you practice?
Yeah, I feel really lucky, and actually I should say I've been lucky lots of times. I have, because probably the hardest thing to do is to find people that you would even consider doing, especially original music with, and then to be able to hold that together, I swear, even for 5 minutes, is a rare thing. And I'm not a kid, obviously. I don't want to mix the worlds too much like I did when I was a kid. You know, you would be happy to live in a rat-infested basement if you thought you could make pretend you were a rock star and, you know, drink beer and, you know, do terrible
Stuff.
sloppy music and think you're awesome, and you know, I mean, and no disrespect to younger people that are in that period. I was there too, but so that was a real concern for me. Actually, was you know, anybody I had done music with prior to having the health issues, you know, they were all done. I mean, they had kids, they were married, they just gave it up, or, you know, immersed themselves in careers. And that's part of what caused me to have to return to my past and find musicians in the Worcester area to record with, while working on the never-ending customization and tweaking of my guitars. I was happy enough to come across Ted, who also works as a professional luthier full-time and does all kinds of musical instrument repair. Ted's Guitar Repair, not .com. And